Good morning, students. As you all know that I have started a new chapter, that is digestion and absorption. In the first class, I discussed about the introduction of the digestion and absorption. I said the meaning of digestion. So, in the digestion, the breaking of larger food substances into simple food substances. That is not process of the actual digestion, but here when the food substances, the complex larger molecules of the food substances are being broken down into smaller food substances, that smaller food substances should be in the form of absorbable. To whom they should be absorbable? To our cells. Why? Because what the food you are going to take, that will be broken down into smaller pieces, and that smaller molecules of the food substances will be absorbed by our body cells to give the energy to our body to do the work. So here the smaller food substances should be in the form of absorbable for our body cells. Okay, so this is the accurate meaning or the definition of the digestion. Then I said about the types of digestion, that is intercellular and extracellular. So the digestion is going to take place with the two methods. One is by mechanical method and a biochemical method. I gave the example of mechanical method, that is the breakdown of when you take a piece of roti or chapati, that chapati or roti before it enters inside your esophagus, that the small the larger piece of the roti or chapati will be broken down into smaller pieces. So that is done by your teeth and tongue, which is considered to be as a mechanical method. Okay, so here when your teeth and tongue are being used for the cutting of the large piece of the roti or chapati into smaller pieces, your buccal cavity or the mouth, what is having the salivary gland, so that salivary gland is going to secrete the saliva. So that saliva is being used for the cutting of the larger chapati or roti into the smaller pieces. You can take the best example, that is the mixer. Okay, when you want to grind, make the paste of the coconut, so when you add only the coconut inside the jar and switch on the button of the mixer, obviously that uh, coconut will come into smaller pieces, it will be turned, it will be grinded into smaller pieces. But when you add the water to it, then the grinding of the coconut into paste, it becomes properly. Okay, so like that here in your buccal cavity, when the food is being broken down into smaller pieces, so there will be adding of the saliva from your salivary glands, where the salivary glands are present in your buccal cavity. Okay, and then I said the digestive system, it is going to associate with the two parts. One is the complete alimentary canal and another one is digestive glands. Why they are called as the digestive glands? Because the glands helps in the process of digestion. Then alimentary canal, it is also called as the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, gastro means it refers to the stomach, intestinal your small intestine and large intestine. The tract means it is a track which is running continuously from one end till the another end. Okay, then so the I said the digestive system is associated with the two parts. One is alimentary canal and another one is associated glands, that is with respect to the digestive glands. So in the alimentary canal, I said the opening of the alimentary canal is said to be as the mouth, and the posterior end of the alimentary canal is said to be as the anus. Okay, so in that mouth it will be covered with this It is having externally it is with the upper lip and the lower lip inside a cavity. That cavity we call it as the oral cavity or a buccal cavity, and in that buccal cavity or oral cavity it is being bordered by the teeth, and it is have the buccal cavity is having the roof and it is having the floor. Okay, so this floor of the buccal cavity is said to be as the tongue, and the roof of the buccal cavity is considered to be as the pellet. So here this pellet is being divided as hard pellet and the soft pellet due to the presence of the skeletal muscle. Where the skeletal muscles are present, so there the pellet seems to be is little hard, so that part is called as a hard pellet. And then where the skeletal muscles are absent, so that is said to be as the soft pellet, and that soft pellet is going to lead to a conical shaped projection, triangular shaped projection, which is hanging in the downward direction. So that is said to be as the uvula. What is the use of this uvula? I have told it is going to help in the articulation of your speech. Okay, so this is with respect to your buccal cavity. As I have told all this in the previous classes, just I am rewinding it, so I am telling it little bit faster. Then let us come to your floor of the buccal cavity, that is said to be as the tongue. And the tongue, on the surface of the tongue, the upper surface of the tongue appears to be, it is having some projections called as a papilla. There are 4 types of the papillas. I have mentioned it in the previous video, and these papillae are consisting of taste buds. So these taste buds, they help in tasting of the variety of the food nature, like sweet, salt, bitter and the sour. Okay, so this the tongue is being attached to the floor of the oral cavity with the help of a connection called as a frenulum. Then I said about the roof, floor, and now come to the border of our buccal cavity, that is called as the teeth. So here the human teeth are said to be as thecodont, diphyodont and heterodont. Why they are said to be as thecodont? Because our teeth are being embedded in the socket of the jaw bone. Then our teeth are said to be as diphyodont. Why they are called as a diphyodont? Because the teeth, when the baby is born until it turns 9 months, 7 months, after the 9 months or 7 months they start, there will be appearing of the teeth. So these teeth will be there only until that baby until that child becomes 6 years old. Once it becomes 6 years old, that teeth will start shedding, and those teeth will be replaced by one more set of the teeth. So when the baby get the teeth after their 6 months, 9 months, 7 months, so those kind of the teeth, that set of the teeth is said to be as a milk teeth, or it is also called as the deciduous teeth. When the baby turns to be 6 years old, and those milk teeth gets shed, and then they will be replaced by one more set of the teeth. So that teeth is said to be, that set of the teeth is said to be as a adult teeth, or it is also called as a permanent teeth. Okay, so the replacement of milk teeth by the adult teeth, this kind of the dentition is said to be as a diphyodont. Okay, then the next I said that human teeth are said to be as a heterodont. Hetero, it refers to the meaning that is different types of teeth are present with respect to their shape. Okay, what are those? Incisors, canines, premolars and the molars. So how you can remember, you have to remember these in the serial manner. And I said the human teeth are of 32, but we doesn't have 32, we have only 28, because the molar teeth, they are the molar tooth, they are 3 in number, but we all have got only 2. One is remaining now. As see now, we are not are we surviving without one molar teeth? So now it has become like a rudiment. So almost all people are not getting the third molar teeth. Okay, And then so the dental formula of the human, that is said to be as 2123 divided by 2123. So here 2123, it is only the set of half of the upper jaw, and another 2123 is half of the lower jaw. Okay, one side if they have counted, another side when you count only one side you are going to get 16, another side 16, so altogether it is 32. So after the oral cavity, it is going to lead to the next part of the digestive system or the alimentary canal, that is called as the pharynx. So this pharynx is said to be as the common passage for the food and the air, because this pharynx is going to connect to the food pipe also and the wind pipe also. So food pipe, it helps in passing of only the food, wind pipe, it helps in only passing of the air. Okay, so after the pharynx, so I said that the pharynx, as you are going to study with the only the digestive system, let us concentrate only after the pharynx, it is only the food pipe. But here, as the pharynx is a common passage for food also and air also, so there might be a chance of entering the food particles into the windpipe. So the opening of the windpipe is called as the glottis, and that opening of the windpipe is being covered by the flap like structure which is made up of the cartilage, and that is called as the epiglottis. So whenever we are swallowing the food, so the glottis, that is the opening of the windpipe, will be kept closed by the epiglottis, so that it is going to prevent no food is going to enter inside the windpipe. So after the pharynx, it is next, it is with respect to the esophagus. So this food pipe is going to extend from from our neck, thorax, and it is going to reach the diaphragm. So when it reaches the diaphragm, that diaphragm, after the diaphragm, it is going to lead to the J-shaped bag like structure called as the stomach. So here the opening of stomach from the esophagus is being guarded by the sphincter. What is that sphincter? That sphincter is called as muscular sphincter, or it is also called as a gastroesophageal sphincter. So what are these sphincters? They are acting like the valves. We can replace the term of sphincter with the valve only. Okay, so how in our homes the valve will be maintained to send the water from the underground tank to a upside the syntax. So like that, here these valves are going to help in the opening regulation of the esophagus, in opening of the stomach from the esophagus. Okay, so the stomach, please remember the location of the stomach, where the stomach is present. A stomach is present in just below the diaphragm, to the left side of our abdominal cavity. Okay, and I said the stomach is having in some textbook they have given 3 parts, and some textbook they have given 4 parts. Let us switch on to the new edited NCRT. So there they have told that it is made up of it is having the 4 parts, that is cardiac, fundic, body, and the pyloric. So pyloric is considered to be as the last part of the stomach. Okay, then so now the you can see in the diagram. So here in this image you can see the pyloric. Further it is going to enter one more, it is going to extend as one more part, and that is being labeled as superior portion of a duodenum. Okay, superior means upper part of the duodenum. Okay, so here that pyloric is going to further opening into one more part of the alimentary canal, and that part of the alimentary canal is said to be as the small intestine. So this small intestine is having 3 parts. Okay, so what are those three parts we shall see in the diagram. Okay, so students, you can observe upside the first you can see the esophagus. It is extending till the diaphragm, and after the diaphragm that esophagus is going to open as a not round shaped stomach. Remember students, it is a J shaped stomach. Okay, so after that stomach, further the pyloric part of the stomach is going to start or run with the next part of the alimentary canal, that is said to be as the small intestine. So here the small intestine, soon after the stomach, which where you can see U-shaped structure. Okay, so that U-shaped structure of the small intestine is considered to be as the first part of the small intestine, which is in the U-shaped, and it is called as the duodenum. Okay, so after that duodenum, it is the next part, that is the middle part of the small intestine, which is long and it is coiled. Okay, that is called as jejunum. And after the jejunum, the last part of the small intestine, that is highly coiled ileum. So these are the three parts of the intestine. I'll repeat: the U-shaped duodenum, coiled long jejunum, highly coiled, and last part of the small intestine, that is ileum. Okay, so further this ileum is going to open as, or it is going to continue as the next part of the alimentary canal, that is said to be as a large intestine. So this large intestine is also having the three parts, but here the large intestine, that is having, I said it is having three parts. What are those three parts? The first part of the large intestine is cecum, second one is colon, and the third one is rectum. So here the colon is again divided into three different parts. What are those? Later we shall concentrate on the cecum part. So I said the large intestine is made up of three parts. One is cecum, colon, and another one is rectum. So here the colon is, as the colon is again being divided into three different parts. Why the colon is being divided into three different parts? Because when it is arranged inside the body of the human being, so that colon is going to run in one side, one time one in it is one side it is going to run in upward direction, another time it is going to run in the transverse direction, and another time it is going to run in the downward direction. So because of this movement, the as the large intestine, so colon is going to change its movement of the different in the direction. So that colon is being divided into three parts. What are those three parts? First, it is said to be, as it is moving in the upward direction, it is called as ascending. Then it is going to move in the lateral direction, that is called as transverse, and again it is going to run in the downward direction, it is called as descending. Okay, so this is the three parts of the colon. Before to the colon, that is the cecum. So this cecum, remember students, the cecum is said to be as, even it is called as the blind sac. Why it is called as the blind sac? Because inside this blind sac, it is a small sac like structure which is consisting of the symbiotic organism, which symbiotic associated microorganisms, means inside this cecum, remember there will be presence of E. coli, that is Escherichia coli. So what is as this E. coli is present inside of the cecum, so this now E. coli is considered to our body, it will be like a foreign substance, so we call it as a parasite. And the human being itself is one more. Okay, here the interaction between the two organism is going to takes place, because cecum is present in the human being, and inside the cecum there is presence of the E. coli. So here E. coli is the guest for our body, so consider the E. coli as the guest, and whenever the guest comes we will be acting as the host. Okay, so here human beings are the host and the E. coli is the guest. Is it clear? So among these two, host and the guest, no any harming is going to takes place. No any harming is going to takes place means, as the E. coli is present inside the human being, so that E. coli is going to get the shelter and it is going to get the food. So it is the advantage of for E. coli for staying inside the human beings. Is it clear? Then here the human beings are having E. coli. What is the advantage? What is the use of the E. coli present inside our body? Because this E. coli, as it needs the food, whenever we take the food, so this E. coli is going to break the food components, where the food components is mainly made up of cellulose. Okay, so in that kind, that cellulose is being broken down by the presence of the enzymes which are present inside the E. coli. So here the human being is getting advantage, it is getting benefit from the E. coli. E. coli is also being benefited by the human being. What is the benefit for the E. coli? Because it is the human being is going to give the food and shelter. How it is going to get the food? By breaking the cellulose. Okay, so human beings are getting advantage from the E. coli. How the human beings are getting advantage from the E. coli? Because the cellulose which are not being broken down inside the small intestine, inside the stomach, so that cellulose will be broken down by the enzymes which are present inside of the E. coli. So here the host and the guest, the human being and the E. coli, both are being benefited. So there is a mutualism. So this type of the interaction we consider, we call it as a symbiotic interaction. Okay, then here this cecum is having, or it is going to give rise to a finger like tubular structure called as vermiform appendix. Remember students, this vermiform appendix is said to be as a vestigial or vestigial organ. Okay, so it is going to arise from the cecum. So here this vermiform appendix, it doesn't have any of the function, because of that reason it is said to be as a vestigial, waste organ. Is it clear to you? And then you might have heard in some people, some human beings, they will be going for the appendix operation. What is that appendix operation? In some body of the human being, this appendix will start to grow. When it starts to grow, when the length of the appendix is going to get increase, so it will give the very severe pain in the abdominal cavity. So because of that, as it is a vestigial organ, they go for removing, they go for cutting off this vermiform appendix. Okay, so because of that, as it doesn't have any function, it will be cut, it will be operated. So this is about the cecum, colon, and the last part of the alimentary canal, it is the rectum. Here the rectum is going to arise from the descending part of the colon. So that descending part of the colon is going to open out as the rectum, and this rectum, here the rectum is going, it is going to act as the storage for undigested food. All the undigested food, the waste food material will be dumped inside this rectum, and that rectum is going to open out externally as the anus. So this is all about the alimentary canal. Okay, so I said the cecum is a blind sac which is going to host some symbiotic microorganism. The cecum is having vermiform appendix, where the vermiform appendix is considered to be as a vestigial organ, and after the cecum it is the colon and then rectum, then it is the rectum is going to open out as a the anus. So this is all about the alimentary canal. Okay, so remember students, now you have studied the alimentary canal. You have to study the wall of the alimentary canal. The wall of the alimentary canal. Now consider a esophagus. You can consider it to a small piece of a pipe. Okay, so that pipe will be having the wall, no? So that wall is made up of, esophagus is made up of our stomach. The wall of the stomach is made up of, the intestine is made up of. Okay, so all together I'm going to say it as the wall of alimentary canal. So this wall of the alimentary canal, now you are going to study the wall of alimentary canal. So the wall of the alimentary canal from esophagus, from your food pipe till the rectum, it is made up of the 4 layers. The wall of the alimentary canal, when I say the alimentary canal, don't consider now your mouth. I made my sentence very clear. The wall of the alimentary canal from the esophagus, from the food pipe till the rectum, it is the wall of the alimentary canal is made up of 4 layers. What are those 4 layers? It is serosa, muscularis, submucosa and the mucosa. So here the wall of the alimentary canal. Now consider you have take the section of the food pipe. I said food pipe, consider it to a pipe. Okay, when you cut a pipe, you take the pipe transverse section. When you cut that pipe, you are going to get the wall of the alimentary canal. So that wall is made up of 4 layers. Okay, so now you move from inward to the outward. Are you getting? Why? Because inward to outward. Why I am telling to move from inward to outward means when you move from inward to outward, you are going to get the innermost layer. Then after the innermost layer, next second innermost layer, third and last, you are going to get the outermost layer. So here I said the wall of the alimentary canal from esophagus till the rectum, it is made up of 4 layers, that is serosa, muscularis, submucosa and mucosa. When you move from when you when you have taken the section of the esophagus, then when your studies, when your observation moves from inward to outward, you are going to get the innermost layer, that is the mucosa. Then after the mucosa, it is submucosa. After the submucosa, it is muscularis, and the last outermost layer of the esophagus wall is called as the serosa. Okay, so these are the 4 layers of the alimentary canal. So in the remaining, that is the remaining, where the serosa, the muscularis, submucosa, mucosa, which type of tissue is present, which type of cells are present, so that we shall discuss in the next class. Thank you students, please study properly. This lesson is very important for your competitive exams also, so don't neglect your studies. Keep watching the remaining videos also. Thank you.